Baby, why is our baby dark?
Curtis, relax. She's a newborn baby. Babies change color days after.
What happens when someone destroys themselves just to become lovable? This is not just a story about beauty. It is a story about shame, a story about self-hate. A woman who saw beauty differently and paid the price for it. Months earlier, the noisy market bustled with life. Women shouted prices. Children ran barefoot between stalls. Smoke rose from roasted corn stands. Then Damaris appeared. Olive green fitted gown, big sunglasses, bright, flawless skin glowing under the hot sun. One meat seller immediately screamed dramatically, "Ha! Yellow Sisi, you no go buy meat from me today. Auntie Yellow, I get fresh tomatoes just like you." The market exploded with laughter. Damaris laughed proudly too. She enjoyed the attention. Ever since she moved to Abuja, everybody called her Yellow Sisi. And somehow, the name stuck. Damaris walked confidently into her mini restaurant. Big, colorful signboard boldly read, "Yellow Sisi Special Noodles." Customers filled nearly every seat. Steam rose from sizzling noodles. Someone shouted from table 3, "Yellow auntie, add 2 eggs." "Where is my suya noodles, Yellow Sisi?" one customer shouted. "No vex, customer, it will be ready very soon." Her energy alone kept customers returning. Business was booming. Life finally looked sweet. In the afternoon, the restaurant bell jingled loudly. "Omo, babe." Damaris turned immediately. "Sharon!" Both women screamed and hugged tightly. "Omo, 2 days now, I've been calling your line. Why your phone no dey connect?" Damaris laughed mischievously. "Nothing happened, oh." She leaned forward proudly. "I'm detoxifying." Sharon blinked. "Detoxi-wetting?" "New year, new me." Sharon burst laughing. "Last year, all my talking stages no lead me to altar, so this year, I'm deleting all of them. When my husband finally locates me, my DM will not be crowded." Sharon nearly fell laughing. "You this girl, eh?" Damaris tossed her hair proudly. "But wait," Sharon suddenly said. "I actually came with serious gist." "Oh, girl, come, let's sit here." They sat in an empty space near the window. Damaris dragged chair closer immediately. "Oya talk. You know say I love gist." Sharon lowered her voice dramatically. "My husband Malik has this friend." Damaris sat upright immediately. "Continue." "He's cute." "Girl, you know I love me a fine boy," Damaris quickly chipped in. "He's rich," Sharon continues. "A nepo baby. Father get money, grandfather get money, everybody for their family just get money anyhow." Damaris held her chest. "Please continue before I faint, oh." "He saw your picture on my WhatsApp status. And he said you are his spec." Damaris screamed so loudly, one customer turned around, but Sharon quickly raised one finger. "But..." Damaris' face dropped immediately. "He likes his women extremely fair." Damaris stood up instantly. "Haba, Sharon." She turned around proudly. "See me na? See skin na? She stretched her arms dramatically. See glow? You think say yellow Sisi why people they call me na joke? Sharon laughed, but Sharon still looked worried. I know, but... No but anything, Damaris cut her off sharply. When we reach bridge, we go cross them. But for now, me and this Curtis guy, we go fit each other. Then her smile faded slightly. Sharon, I'm tired. Her voice softened. You're married at 25. Me, 28. No husband. No serious relationship. Upon all this beauty, they both laughed and proceeded to talking about something else. That night, Sharon arranged a dinner. Luxury restaurant, soft piano music, expensive chandeliers. Then Curtis walked in. Tall, clean beard, calm, rich boy confidence. The kind of man that smelled expensive before speaking. The moment he saw Damaris, he froze slightly. Wow. Damaris smiled shyly. For the first time in years, she felt chosen. Conversation flowed naturally. Curtis laughed at all her jokes, listened carefully whenever she spoke. By the end of dinner, he personally opened the car door for her.
Can I see you again? He asked softly. Damaris smiled. You'll have to earn it. Curtis grinned immediately. Challenge accepted. Their relationship moved fast. Late night calls, surprise flowers, boat cruises, luxury dates, cooking noodles together at midnight, dancing in the kitchen, taking blurry selfies. Curtis loved showing her off, and his friends never let him rest. One evening at the lounge, one friend shouted, Oga Fair Complexion Association. Everybody burst laughing. You finally find your yellow pawpaw. Another one added, this one no be wife again, na ring light. Curtis laughed proudly. I told all of you, my wife must be fair. He looked at Damaris lovingly, and God delivered. Those words pierced somewhere deep inside her chest, but she ignored it. 2 months later, they got married quietly. Simple, classy wedding. Nothing too loud, but expensive enough for everybody to know money existed. Curtis treated Damaris like royalty. Expanded her restaurant business, bought industrial kitchen equipment, got her a food truck, staff, drivers. Money was never the problem. Damaris truly believed God delayed her happiness until Curtis arrived. One afternoon, Curtis was abroad for business when Damaris sat nervously on the bed holding a pregnancy test. Positive. Her hands shook immediately. She video called Curtis instantly. He answered, smiling. Baby, I'm in a meeting. I'm pregnant. Silence. Then Curtis screamed loudly inside the airport lounge. What? People turned immediately. My baby is having a baby? Damaris laughed uncontrollably. Curtis nearly cried from excitement. You don't understand how happy I am right now. And for the first time in years, Damaris felt life had finally chosen her too. The pregnancy changed everything. Curtis became even softer with her. Every morning he kissed her forehead before leaving the house. Every night he returned with gifts, baby clothes, tiny shoes, pink ribbons. One evening he entered the bedroom carrying 3 huge shopping bags. Damaris sat up immediately laughing. Curtis, what is all this again? My daughter deserves luxury. You already know it's a girl. Curtis kissed his hand proudly on her stomach. She told me herself. Damaris laughed hard. You are crazy. No, he said seriously. I just know my child. Then he leaned close to her stomach. My princess, please come out as pretty as your mother. That night, Damaris lay awake in the dark. Curtis slept peacefully beside her. She placed her own hand on her stomach slowly,
and for the first time since getting pregnant, fear moved through her quietly. What if the baby came out dark? She pushed the thought away immediately. Damaris forced a smile when he woke the next morning. Months passed beautifully. Then came the baby shower. The house glowed with pink decorations and flowers. Music played loudly. Friends danced everywhere. Sharon and her husband Malik arrived carrying giant teddy bears. Rich people know they calm down, Sharon joked, looking around the mansion. Curtis walked around proudly, greeting guests like a king preparing for his heir. At one point, he knelt beside Damaris in front of everybody. "I can't wait to see my little princess." Everybody screamed excitedly. He kissed her stomach gently. But Sharon noticed something. For one quick second, Damaris' smile faded, very briefly. Then it returned again. Sharon narrowed her eyes slightly. Something about her friend's honesty was missing, but she said nothing because she already knew what Damaris would say. Later that evening, while everybody danced, Sharon quietly entered the kitchen where Damaris was arranging drinks. "You okay?" Damaris forced a smile quickly. "Why won't I be okay?" "I'm pregnant, Sharon. Anxiety is normal." Sharon leaned closer. "Damaris," her tone dropped carefully. "Have you still not told Curtis?" Damaris's face hardened immediately. "Tell him what?" "Don't do that." Sharon looked away. "Sharon, please. You know this thing can become problem later." "Nothing will happen." "But nothing will happen." Sharon sighed deeply. "You're playing dangerous game." Damaris suddenly snapped. "Do you know what it feels like to finally be loved properly?" Sharon kept quiet. "All my life, people made me feel ugly because I was dark." Damaris continued emotionally. "You didn't see the things I saw." Her eyes became distant. "The insults, the rejection, the comparison." She laughed painfully. "One boy once told me I would be beautiful in another life, and that can only happen if I was fair." Sharon's heart broke slightly hearing that. "Some guys approached my friend while I stood beside her and said, 'Not you, the fair one.'" She swallowed hard. "Even aunties in church used to rub my skin and say, 'This girl too black, haba.'" Sharon moved closer softly. "But Curtis deserves honesty too." Damaris's eyes suddenly watered. "If I tell him the truth," her lips trembled, "I will lose him." Silence. Then she whispered weakly, "And I can't survive losing him." Sharon said nothing again, because deep down, she feared her friend was right. 9 months later, rain poured heavily that night. Thunder shook the windows violently. Damaris screamed in pain, gripping the bedsheets tightly. "Miss Celine!" The nanny rushed downstairs immediately, half asleep. "Madame, my water!" Miss Celine panicked instantly. "Jesus Christ!" Everything became chaotic. Hospital bag, car keys, towels, screaming. Rain pounding aggressively against the car roof while Damaris cried in the back seat. "I can't do this!" "Yes, you can!" Miss Celine shouted while driving nervously. "Madame, breathe!" At the hospital, doctors rushed around quickly. Nurses moved equipment. Damaris screamed again, gripping Sharon's hand tightly after she arrived minutes later. "I'm dying!" "You're not dying," Sharon shouted back. "You're just dramatic." Another contraction hit. Damaris screamed so loud one nurse jumped. Hours passed. Sweat, pain, tears. Then finally, a loud baby cry filled the room. Everybody smiled instantly. "It's a girl!" Damaris weakly cried from relief. Sharon smiled emotionally. "She's beautiful." The nurse cleaned the baby carefully before wrapping her in pink cloth. Then Sharon finally saw the baby properly, and her smile faded slightly. The child was dark-skinned, beautiful, very beautiful, but undeniably dark. Sharon slowly looked toward Damaris. Damaris noticed the look immediately. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, fear entered the room quietly. The next morning, Curtis arrived straight from the airport. Flowers, box of chocolates, huge smile. "My girls!" He kissed Damaris's forehead immediately. Then the nurse handed him the baby. At first, he smiled proudly. Then slowly, confusion appeared on his face. "Baby?" Damaris's chest tightened immediately. "Why is our baby dark-skinned?"
Everything after that became strange. Curtis tried acting normal initially, but something had shifted. 2 months passed. Baby Nola grew healthier, stronger, more beautiful. Her tiny curls became fuller, her smile brighter, but instead of getting lighter, she became even darker. One evening, Damaris sat on the couch feeding Nola while Curtis stared quietly from across the room, tablet in his hands, though his eyes never moved from the baby. "What?" Damaris finally asked softly. Curtis shook his head immediately. Nothing, but his eyes returned to the baby again. That night, he barely touched his food. Slowly, the cheerful man she married began disappearing. Less jokes, less affection, less laughter in the house. One evening, Curtis drove quietly to Sharon's house unannounced. Sharon opened the door shocked. "Curtis? Can I come in?" His voice sounded cold, serious. Sharon's heart dropped immediately. They sat in silence for some seconds. Curtis stared at his hands for a long moment, jaw walking silently. Then finally, "Tell me the truth." Sharon's stomach tightened. "About what?" Curtis looked directly into her eyes. Was that really the baby Damaris gave birth to? Silence filled the room instantly. Sharon blinked slowly. "Yes." Curtis' jaw tightened. "No baby was swapped?" "No." "You are sure?" "Yes, Curtis." Silence again. Then Curtis nodded slowly and stood up. "Thank you." Sharon followed him quickly. "Curtis?" But he was already leaving. That same night, Damaris called Sharon crying. "Something is wrong." Sharon closed her eyes tiredly. "He barely carries Nola. He stares at her strangely. He barely touches me anymore." Her voice cracked. "He's not the Curtis I know." Sharon stayed quiet for some seconds. Then finally, "You know I warned you." Damaris began crying harder immediately. "Curtis is a man of his word. What you are avoiding is finally catching up with you." Damaris' voice dropped into a whisper. "I couldn't risk losing him." "So you built a marriage on fear?" Damaris shifted uncomfortably on the phone. "I built it on survival," she said quietly. Sharon's voice softened slightly. "What you are avoiding is finally catching up." Damaris wiped her tears aggressively. "If I had told Curtis I was naturally dark," she laughed bitterly, "he would never have married me." Silence. Then softly, "And I couldn't let a good man like him go." 3 weeks passed with tension hanging heavily inside the house. Even the workers noticed it. Miss Celine no longer played loud gospel music while cleaning. The chef stayed mostly quiet. The laughter that once filled the mansion had disappeared completely. One morning, the dining table felt colder than usual.
Curtis sat quietly scrolling through his phone while eating breakfast. Damaris sat opposite him, forcing herself to drink tea. Baby Nola's soft cries echoed faintly from upstairs. Nobody spoke. Knife touched plate softly. Cup touched saucer. Then suddenly, Curtis dropped his fork. The sharp sound made Damaris look up immediately. He stared directly at her. "Did you cheat on me?" Damaris froze completely. The teacup nearly slipped from her hand. "What?" Curtis leaned back slowly. "Or?" His eyes darkened. "Or is there something you want to tell me?" Damaris's heartbeat became louder instantly. Curtis continued carefully. "Because I refuse to believe this is ordinary." He pointed upstairs slightly. "I specifically wanted fair children." The words pierced through her chest. "That was always my preference." His jaw tightened. "That's why I married you." Silence swallowed the room. Damaris's hands began shaking visibly. She looked at Curtis, then at the floor, then back at him again. For the first time since their marriage, she realized there was no more lie left to hide behind. Slowly, she stood up from her chair. Curtis watched silently. She walked around the dining table weakly. Then, suddenly, she knelt beside him. Curtis's eyes narrowed slightly. Tears rushed down Damaris's face immediately. "I have something to tell you." Her voice trembled badly. "And I didn't think it was going to matter this much."
Curtis' face remained expressionless. Damaris wiped her tears helplessly. "I wasn't born fair." Silence. Curtis blinked once, slowly. "My parents were dark-skinned." She swallowed hard. "I was dark too." Curtis stared at her like his brain stopped processing properly. Damaris continued crying. Very dark. Flashbacks flooded her mind immediately. School field. Children laughing. A younger Damaris standing quietly while two boys mocked her. "That girl is just too black like charcoal." Another voice. "I don't want to be friends with you because you are too black and ugly." Another memory. At school, her class teacher telling her they only want fair girls to represent them in the school spelling competition, even though she was an excellent student. Another. "If only you are fair, because dark girls know they attract rich husbands." Another memory. Her best friend receiving Valentine gifts while she stood empty-handed beside her. Back to the present. Damaris cried harder. "People mocked me every single day." Her breathing became uneven. "Everywhere I went, they compared me to lighter girls. Men never noticed me, and I'm getting old." When they did, she laughed painfully through tears. "It was to insult me." Curtis looked away briefly. Damaris continued shakily. "Then my parents died." Her lips trembled violently now. "They had an accident traveling to the village for a wedding." Curtis' eyes softened slightly despite himself. "I was their only child. My entire world ended." She cried into her palms briefly before continuing. "I sold their properties, the land, the old house, everything." Curtis frowned slowly. Then Damaris whispered, "And I used the money to change my skin." Silence exploded across the dining room. Curtis' face went blank.
"Started with the creams first, rubbing them in every night until my palms burned," she continued. "Then the injections into my face, my arms, everywhere the sun touched me. I avoided mirrors during those months, avoided windows. I became terrified of the sun because I thought it would undo everything. My skin started lightening in patches, uneven at first, like I was disappearing slowly. Then, gradually, it all matched. By the time I moved to Abuja, I was finally the girl everyone said would be beautiful. Curtis stood up slowly from the chair, not angrily, almost like somebody struggling to breathe properly. Damaris grabbed his hand immediately. "Curtis, please!" He pulled away gently, like her touch suddenly burned. "You lied to me." His voice sounded broken, more than angry. Damaris shook her head desperately. "I was scared." "For 2 years," Curtis asked quietly, "you watched me talk about wanting fair children. You watched my friends joke about it. You listened to me brag to everybody about your skin." His voice cracked slightly. "And you said nothing." Damaris cried uncontrollably. "I loved you, but you didn't trust me." That line silenced her immediately. Curtis laughed bitterly and paced slowly. "You made me look stupid. No, you made me build my future around something that wasn't even real." Damaris crawled slightly closer desperately. "I swear I never cheated on you." "I know that now," Curtis answered immediately. "That baby is mine." Silence. But every time I look at her, he struggled with the next words. "I knew something was off, and now it's going to be a constant reminder you lied to me from the beginning." Damaris broke down completely. Curtis rubbed his face tiredly. Then finally, he said the words that shattered her completely. "If I knew the truth," his voice dropped low. "If I knew the truth, I probably wouldn't have married you." The world seemed to stop. Damaris stared at him like somebody stabbed her physically. Curtis's eyes filled with disappointment. "Not because dark women aren't beautiful," he said quietly. "God knows they are." He rubbed his face tiredly. "But I told you exactly what I wanted, and you decided I didn't deserve the truth to make that choice." His voice cracked slightly. "You made that decision for me." Damaris collapsed crying beside the chair. Upstairs, baby Nola started crying loudly too, like she could somehow feel the pain downstairs. Days later, the entire family heard the truth. Shock spread everywhere. Curtis's friends stopped talking whenever Damaris entered rooms. Some avoided eye contact completely. Others whispered quietly. Even Malik looked uncomfortable around Sharon. Nobody expected it. Nobody. And Sharon, she couldn't even defend her friend openly because deep down, she knew Curtis had truly been deceived. One evening, Sharon visited Damaris quietly. The house felt empty already. Suitcases stood near the staircase. Damaris looked terrible. No makeup, swollen eyes, loose bonnet. She laughed bitterly immediately Sharon entered. So this is how happy endings die. Sharon sat beside her quietly. Neither spoke for some seconds. Then Damaris whispered, "Do you know the painful part?" Sharon looked at her softly. "I finally became the kind of woman society said men would love." Fresh tears rolled down her face. "And I still lost." Sharon held her hand gently. "No, Damaris." Her voice softened deeply. "You lost yourself long before you lost Curtis." That line hit hard. Very hard. 2 months later, the divorce was finalized quietly. No public drama, no fighting online, no scandal. Curtis bought Damaris and Nola a comfortable house in Abuja, a very beautiful place. He made sure they lacked nothing financially, and they shared custody peacefully. But emotionally, everything remained broken. 2 weeks after moving into the new house, Damaris sat alone, staring at old wedding pictures on her phone. Pictures of laughter, vacation videos, kitchen dances, late night kisses, promises, dreams, all gone. She looked towards sleeping baby Nola beside her. The child slept peacefully, unaware of everything. Then slowly, Damaris' eyes moved toward a bleaching cream sitting nearby on the dresser. Silence filled the room. Her breathing became heavier.
She picked up the cream slowly, then looked back at Nola again. Her tiny dark legs, her soft brown skin. Damaris's tears dropped immediately. I don't want them to hurt you the way they hurt me. Her voice cracked. I don't want boys rejecting you. I don't want people mocking you. She opened the cream slowly. Then suddenly, don't you dare! Damaris jumped violently. Sharon stood by the door, breathing hard. Her eyes filled with anger and fear.
She rushed forward immediately and grabbed the cream from Damaris' hand. Have you lost your mind? Damaris burst into tears instantly. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. Sharon pointed at baby Nola emotionally. That child came into this world complete. She does not need fixing. Damaris sobbed heavily. I just want her to have easier life. Sharon's eyes softened slightly. Then teach her confidence. Silence. Not self-hate. Damaris cried quietly. Sharon knelt before her. If you bleach this child, her voice lowered carefully, you will continue the same curse that almost destroyed you. Silence swallowed the room. Then slowly, Damaris looked at the cream again and finally threw it into the trash. Years passed quietly. Not perfectly, not magically, but peacefully. For the first time in her life, Damaris stopped chasing acceptance. The bleaching creams disappeared first. Then the injections stopped. Then the filters. Slowly her real skin returned little by little, but not perfect. At first, she struggled to even look at herself in the mirror. Every dark patch returning to her body felt like failure, like punishment, like losing all over again. But Nola changed that, because every morning that little girl stood proudly before the mirror, smiling at herself. No shame, no insecurity, no hatred, just confidence. And Damaris slowly began seeing herself through her daughter's eyes. One afternoon, Nola sat on the kitchen counter eating chin-chin while Damaris cooked noodles. Mommy? Yes, baby? Am I beautiful? The question froze Damaris instantly. Years ago, that same question destroyed her own childhood. She turned slowly toward her daughter. Nola's big brown eyes stared innocently at her. Damaris walked over immediately and held her face gently. You are one of the most beautiful girls God ever created. Nola smiled brightly. Even though I'm dark? Damaris's eyes watered instantly. Especially because you're dark. Nola grinned proudly. That night, Damaris cried alone in her room. Not from pain this time, but from realization. Nobody had ever spoken to her that way growing up. Nobody told her dark skin was beautiful. Nobody protected her mind from society's cruelty. Everybody only taught her how to hate herself. And she almost passed that same pain to her daughter. From that day, everything changed completely. Damaris stopped hiding, stopped pretending, stopped bleaching completely, stopped apologizing for existing. She reopened her restaurant after years away from business. But this time, things were different, very different. The opening day attracted a huge crowd, old customers who loved her tasty noodles, new faces, friends, families. Everybody waited outside excitedly while workers removed the covering from the new signboard.
Then finally, the cloth dropped. Nola's kitchen. People clapped loudly. Damaris smiled proudly, standing beside her daughter. Her skin was now fully dark again. Healthy, smooth, natural, beautiful. No more painful yellow patches. No more fake perfection. Inside the restaurant, beautiful portraits of dark-skinned African women decorated the walls proudly. Queens, market women, little girls, melanin everywhere. One customer looked around impressed. Omo, this place is looking good, oh. Another woman smiled. I love this message. Business exploded again quickly, but this time, Damaris's peace no longer came from attention. It came from acceptance. One afternoon, while customers ate and laughed loudly, little Nola played near the counter with another girl around her age. The little girl suddenly asked innocently, "Your skin is so dark." Damaris looked up immediately from the kitchen. Old fear flashed through her chest instantly. But before she could say anything, Nola smiled proudly. "My mommy says God doesn't make mistakes." Silence. Damaris froze completely. Emotion hit her so hard she nearly cried right there, because that little sentence meant the cycle had finally broken. Nola returned to playing happily, completely unashamed of herself, completely free. And after so many years, Damaris truly healed. Not because a man stayed, not because society approved, not because life became perfect, but because she finally stopped fighting the person God created her to be. One evening, after closing the restaurant, Damaris sat outside alone, watching the Abuja sunset. The soft evening wind brushed against her skin gently. Then, her phone buzzed. It was Curtis. A picture of Nola eating ice cream during their weekend outing. Damaris smiled softly. No bitterness remained anymore. Some love stories end in marriage. Others end in lessons. And maybe Curtis was never sent to stay forever. Maybe he came to expose the wound she spent years covering with bleaching cream and fake confidence. Maybe losing him saved her life. A month after, inside the restaurant, Nola laughed loudly at something Miss Celine said. Damaris looked back through the glass doors, smiling peacefully. Finally, she loved what she saw. Darlings, sometimes the person destroying you is the version of yourself trying too hard to be accepted. Self-hate can buy attention, but it can never buy peace. Never destroy yourself just to fit somebody else's preference. God did not make a mistake when He created your skin, face, or body. Body shaming can wound people deeper than you think. A relationship built on fear and deception can never fully survive. Teach children confidence before the world teaches them insecurity. Men are not the final reward of womanhood. Peace is. True beauty is comfort in your own skin. And before you leave, if this story touched your heart, don't disappear silently like Curtis after Big Fasto. Subscribe to the Storytime Lounge, where every story carries drama, emotion, lessons, and that original African storytelling spice. Come back next time. There's always another story waiting behind the lounge door.